Hello and what's up, everybody? This here is a lost Roman traveler coming at you with another edition of Diamond Sundays. Alrighty, y'all, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, unfortunately for my premiere Diamond Sunday, there was something going on where it was an hour long, okay? And what happened was that when I went ahead and actually posted the video, only about 7 to 15 minutes of the hour-long video was actually able to be posted up. And unfortunately, I was never really able right now to figure out exactly what was going on and why the entire hour video was not posted. So I'm going to go ahead and try to keep this edition of Diamond Sunday short so that way I can actually go ahead and post it up. So let's go ahead and start off right away with the World Series. So now you have the Houston Astros against the Atlanta Braves. Okay, now on my Instagram, I went ahead and posted two questions. Okay, so the Dodgers were down 3-2 against the Atlanta Braves. The Boston Red Sox were down 3-2 against the Houston Astros. So I posted a question on Instagram. Which team people felt had the better chance of actually making a comeback against? So a lot of individuals really thought that the Boston Red Sox had a better chance of overcoming the 3-2 deficit over the Dodgers against the Atlanta Braves. However, there was actually one individual who replied back to the story and said, you know what? Neither of them are coming back. Okay, they're both done for. And that individual was correct. Okay, neither the Boston Red Sox nor the Los Angeles Dodgers were able to come back from their deficits to defeat their opponents. So now you have the Houston Astros versus the Atlanta Braves in this year's World Series. And once again, we will not have a repeat champion. The last team to actually repeat as champions were the 98 through 2000 Yankees. Okay, so the Dodgers were aiming to go ahead and be the first team to be back-to-back champions. However, they went ahead and fell short against the Atlanta Braves this year around, and Atlanta has redeemed itself from last year's NLCS. So if you have been watching my previous videos, I have stated that even though the Braves were saying all the right things, you know deep down inside they wanted to face the Los Angeles Dodgers to go ahead and redeem themselves from last year's NLCS when they were up 3-1 against the Dodgers and fell short. Now, this will be the Atlanta Braves' first World Series since 1999 where they actually got swept by the New York Yankees. So congratulations to the Atlanta Braves for getting to the World Series this year and overcoming the Los Angeles Dodgers, winning in 6 games. Now let's go ahead and jump over to the American League side, okay, where you have the Houston Astros going to their third World Series in 5 years. So let's go ahead and break that down just a bit. In baseball, you normally hear the term of teams having kind of like a 5 to 7 year window, especially when they go ahead and bring up core talent from their minor league system and add just the right free agents to fit into that clubhouse and to basically formulate the puzzle or put all the pieces together for the puzzle and trying to get to a World Series and become champions. Now, As much as the Houston Astros are hated throughout baseball because of their cheating scandal of 2017, there is no denying the talent and how good this team really is. And for me, that is what actually infuriated me the most, was that this team was so good and is so good that they never had to resort to that type of cheating that they resorted to get to the World Series in 2017. Now, if individuals who aren't baseball fans don't know what I'm speaking of, so there was this intricate system where they actually had live feed and live video of real-time pitching and pitch sequences in 2017, where they actually had a camera in center field pointed towards the pitcher and the catcher. Now, normally in baseball, right, since its inception in the late 1800s and going to the live ball era, which is considered the 1900s until now, hitters have always tried to pick up on pitches. So normally what will happen is this. For example, let's say a runner gets to second base, right? They'll try to go ahead and peek and to see the signs that the catcher is putting down, and then try to relate those signs to the batter. And this is something that has been going on in baseball, like I said, since its inception, and especially from the live ball era in 1900. The Houston Astros decided to take it a bit further, where they had a trash can in their dugout, okay? And also down, if you notice in baseball, in the dugouts, you'll have little staircases that's going into the clubhouse. And when they're going into the clubhouse, actually on one of their sides, either the left or the right, you have monitors of everything that's going on within the game. Now, normally those monitors are supposed to be, I think, 3 to 5 seconds after an initial pitch or hit or whatever happens. So what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, batter gets a hit, ends up being a single. A few seconds later, you'll go ahead and see that on the monitors. However, since they had a live camera set up already, it was feeding back to those monitors real time everything that was going on. So let's say, for example, a catcher is putting down signs. Normally, number 1 is a fastball, 2 is like a changeup, 3 is kind of like a breaking pitch, depending on what type of breaking pitch the pitcher might have, whether it's a slider, curveball, etc., etc. So what'll happen is this. Let's say the catcher only puts down one sign. Boom. Let's say it's number 1, which is a fastball, and the pitcher normally will shake their head like, yes, okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw that pitch. They were catching all that in real time. So when they saw that was the pitch that was incoming, they would go ahead and hit on the trash can. I don't know if you heard that. Okay, boom. So they'll go ahead and hit one time, meaning it's a fastball coming. So if they saw it was a breaking pitch, let's say the catcher goes ahead, puts down the 3. And let's say the pitcher itself only has 3 pitches, fastball, changeup, and a slider. So the third, when they go ahead and put down the 3 sign, means it's a slider coming. So what will happen if they know it's a breaking pitch, they'll go ahead and bang on the trash can twice. Okay? So now the batter already has won 50% of the battle, because now they know exactly what pitch is coming. So they know either to gear up faster and start their swing earlier to catch up on the fastball, or whether or not to actually shift their weight all the way to the back leg and wait just a bit, knowing that a breaking pitch is coming. Because normally with any breaking pitch, what'll happen is that most of them will look like a strike, but then if it's a slider, it'll end up breaking away from the plate. If it's a curveball, and depending on where the curveball starts, you'll know where it's actually going to go ahead and drop. So normally if a person or a pitcher has a 12-6 curveball, and that, well, 12-6 means is just think of the hands on the clock, the 12 and the 6. So it'll start up high and then it'll break right down. So what'll happen is that if they notice they have a 12-6 curveball and that's what's coming, okay, let's say if it starts in the middle of the plate, the batter sees that, and now that they hear, okay, the trash can going off twice, meaning that it's the breaking pitch coming, they know the pitcher only has the curveball. If it starts in the middle and they know it's a 12-6, then for them, they could go ahead and spit on that pitch. And what spitting on the pitch really means is not even chasing after it or going for it, okay? Because what they know is going to happen is that, yes, it looks like a strike because it's coming in the middle, but it's going to drop out of the zone, okay? Now, if the curveball, again, if it's a 12-6, if it starts up high in the zone, okay, depending on how high in the zone, then they'll definitely know to go ahead and swing at it, because even though it's starting high in the zone, they know eventually it's going to drop in a hittable area in the zone. So now all they have to do is just, like I said, they'll have to shift their weight back to the back leg and just wait a bit, because they'll know that the pitch eventually is going to drop in the zone and where to go. So at the end of the day, in 2017, the Houston batters had a tremendous advantage because they are already winning half the battle at the plate. Now, yes, you still have to go out there and perform, but trust me, it definitely makes it a lot easier when you know what pitch is coming. It's almost like an MLB The Show. If anybody out there has played MLB The Show, you have options, right, of trying to guess what pitch is actually coming from the pitcher. And if you guess right, then you know what type of timing you need to have to actually get a hit off that pitcher. It's very similar to what the Astros were doing in 2017. Now, this report came out in 2019 that the Houston Astros did this in 2017. So it was 2 years after they won their championship in 2017 where all these details were coming out. Now, there are speculations that they cheated also in 2019, but there has been no reports, nothing indicated that they did. And now they're back in the World Series again in 2021. So if you're actually looking at the 5-7 year window, you have to go ahead and, as much as people hate the Houston Astros and, you know, they're always going to live in infamy for what they did, they have had a run of success in these 5-7 years that other teams in the American League cannot touch. Okay, so they go to the World Series in 2017. They win in 7 games, and they win out in LA. Okay, you had George Springer, the World Series MVP, go off, had 7 home runs. In 2019, they reached the World Series again. And that World Series was crazy. Eventually, they end up losing to the Washington Nationals in 7 games. But that was a series where the home team did not win a game. And that is one of the most craziest World Series I have ever seen, just for that fact alone. So it started off in Houston. Washington takes the first 2 games in Houston. So Washington was sitting pretty, going back home for 3 games. However, the Houston Astros come back and win all 3 games at National Park. And then when it goes back to Houston, the Washington Nationals go ahead and take the final 2 games against the Houston Astros out in Houston. So that was a crazy 7-game set. So the Houston Astros end up losing that series. But now they're back in the World Series facing the Atlanta Braves. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to start off in Houston because Houston has the better record over Atlanta. Okay, so it's going to be a very interesting series. I personally hope it goes 7 games. I know there's a lot of fans out there that just want the Atlanta Braves to win. I know there's a lot of Yankee fans out there that want the Atlanta Braves to go ahead and beat the Houston Astros for sure. And obviously, all the Houston fans want the Astros to go ahead and win. And if the Astros end up winning, you cannot take away the type of dominance that they've had in the American League and just in baseball in general. And also, they have a lot of free agents coming up as well, but that's something for another video. Here's the thing, for me, I'm just hoping for a great World Series. You know, as much of a baseball fan that I am, I'm also a Yankee fan, but I'm not going to deny any other team or how good they are, things of that nature, because at the end of the day, I might be a Yankee fan, but I am a baseball fan in general. And for me, if the Houston Astros win, I will not be happy for the Houston Astros winning. I will be happy for Dusty Baker winning. To me, I always loved Dusty Baker as a big league manager. And Dusty Baker has been to the World Series. He's led the San Francisco Giants to the 2002 World Series where they end up losing, I believe, to sit in 6 or 7 games to the Los Angeles Angels, or the Anaheim Angels, or what they were called at that particular time. For me, I just want Dusty Baker to win a world championship, because if he actually wins a World Series championship, then he's automatically going to the Hall of Fame. Okay? For me, he's a Hall of Fame manager, but for some who actually have the vote of who gets into the Hall of Fame, they consider him a borderline Hall of Fame manager only because he doesn't have that chip. Now, I would have liked it that Dusty would get that chip with another team that's not the Houston Astros. But if the Astros win, I'll be happy for Dusty Baker, not because the Houston Astros won. Okay? Now, over to the Atlanta Braves side. Okay? Like I said, this is their first World Series championship since 1999. Or should I say their first World Series appearance since 1999, where they got swept by the New York Yankees. And the story of how the Atlanta Braves got to this point is amazing. Okay, by the trade deadline, they basically got an entire new outfield. Majority of that outfield were hit bad with injuries. You know, you have Ronald Acuna Jr., the star center fielder, out for the season. I believe Marcell Ozuna as well was out for the season. So they had to basically revamp their entire outfield. And Atlanta wasn't even in the race for the National League East title. That's the crazy part about it. Like in July, if I'm not mistaken, the New York Mets, before their epic collapse, was leading the National League East. But it's once Alex Anthopoulos was the general manager of the Atlanta Braves, was able to pull off all those trades, it kind of just re-energized the Atlanta Braves, and they took off. Okay, I would have never thought that the Atlanta Braves were going to make it to the postseason, let alone the World Series, because of how they were playing in mid-July before the trade deadline. Okay? But sometimes that's all you need, is just little sparks to go ahead and make a run to the postseason. One of their biggest acquisitions was Eddie Rosario, and they basically traded a Subway sandwich to get Eddie Rosario. Like, yo, I'm serious. What they gave up for Eddie Rosario was basically nothing. That's no disrespect to the Panda, Pablo Sandoval, but who would have thought that Eddie Rosario will go ahead and end up being the NLCS MVP? He just completely went off. He was the spark plug in that series for Atlanta. I'm also happy for Freddie Freeman, longtime Atlanta Braves franchise player. You know, he's heading to his first World Series, and it should be a good one. I really do believe that. And I don't know if people believe in coincidences or things of that nature, okay? So, Dusty Baker, when he was playing, if I'm not mistaken, he was playing for the Milwaukee Braves at the time, and they were facing the Houston Astros in the World Series when Dusty Baker was a manager. Now, this time around, fast forward all these years, I think that game was in 1958, maybe something of that nature. So now you fast forward all those years, okay? Now you have Dusty Baker as the manager of the Houston Astros facing off against the Atlanta Braves. Like, if people don't believe like in the universe's coincidence and things of that nature, sometimes it's hard not to believe in it because of circumstances like this. And not only in baseball, just in everyday life, things like this happen. So I thought that was a cool ass storyline for sure for this World Series, you know. So yeah, for me, I think it should be a good one. I hope it goes 7 games. Hopefully Atlanta could go ahead and defeat the Houston Astros, but at the same time, I still want Dusty Baker to go ahead and get his first chip so he could go into the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest managers of all time. Not the greatest, but one of the greatest. Okay? I mean, just he always has playoff success. He knows how to manage a team, franchises. I mean, he did it with the Cubs. He did it with the Giants. He did it with the Nationals. And now he came into that situation in Houston, which is a tumultuous situation, you know, where everybody hated him because of the cheating scandal, this, that, and the third, and just being the villains of baseball. You know, everybody was against him and things of that nature, and he leads them all the way to a World Series. I mean, there's something to speak on the character of Dusty Baker and the way that he manages. So I'm really on the fence with all of it. I just want an amazing World Series, okay? So let's go ahead now and go to some Yankee news. Alrighty, so on the Twitterverse, you had individuals who were a little upset that Aaron Boone is back as the New York Yankees manager. They're re-upping his contract for another 3 years with an option for a fourth. It's very similar to the original contract he was given in the 2017-18 offseason. Okay. However, most of his coaching staff will not be back. Okay. Marcus Thames, the hitting coach, fired. PJ Plether, the assistant hitting coach, fired. Phil Nevin, the third base coach, fired. Now, out of all three of them, I mean, I see why they fired Marcus Thames, you know, because what was supposed to be a strength this year, the Yankee offense, was actually a hindrance. Okay? But the one that did not surprise me was Phil Nevin, because throughout last year and even this year, there were a lot of questionable calls from him as a third base coach that really cost the Yankees a lot in the season, you know, and the Yankees weren't really good on the base pass. That is something that they definitely need to go ahead and clean up. Their fundamentals were just horrendous throughout the season. That's something that they definitely have to work on as well. So I was not surprised that Phil Nevin was given the boot, and especially after that call in the wild card game against the Red Sox, where Giancarlo Stanton hits a rocket off the Green Monster and it bounces off and is right in front of the center field. And now all of this is going right in front. All this is happening and unfolding in front of Phil Nevin's eyes. So what he decides to do was actually send Aaron Judge. Okay, and it was a great throw by Xander Bogaerts to cut off Judge at home plate that basically killed the rally for the New York Yankees. And at that time, the score was only 3-1. So if Phil Nevin never waved Aaron Judge home, you have men on second and third with only one out, and there's now more pressure on the Boston pitching staff. However, the momentum changed quickly on that play, because now it gave the Red Sox pitchers a chance to get out the inning by just having to get one more out, which they did with Joey Gallo. So at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not surprised that Phil Nevin is not coming back as the third base coach. Okay. Also, first baseman Reggie Willis, it seems like there's contradicting reports out there saying that he was fired from the Yankees, but there's also other reports saying that he just went ahead and took a job with a college team. Not 100% sure, that it's escaping me right now. I want to say, I think Ohio, college in Ohio, that he went ahead and, or Oklahoma, one of those two. But now he's gone as well. So you have 4 coaches from Boone's original staff that are gone. And there was also another report out there that they are looking for a bench coach that's kind of the yin to Aaron Boone's yang, or the yang to Aaron Boone's yin, one or the other. And there were a few people out there on Twitter that was kind of ripping that in a sense, because they're like, you know what, if that's the path that you're going to go ahead on, then why don't you just fire Aaron Boone and get that person to replace him? Which at the end of the day, it's actually a solid argument, you know. So I kind of see it as almost a Joe Torre, Don Zimmerman kind of situation going on. I'm not saying that's exactly the same, but it could be something along the lines of that. So I know there are a lot of individuals out there that don't like the fact that Aaron Boone is back. Okay, however, if he ends up actually winning a championship, all will be forgiven. I mean, that's just the facts of the day. Okay, so also, other Yankee news, you have Brian Cashman, in a press conference announcing a new contract for Aaron Boone, but also stating too that the New York Yankees need more contact hitters. Well, duh. I mean, that is just such an obvious statement to go ahead and make. The New York Yankees have too many guys who swing and miss. And of course, you need more contact hitters because that's what helps you win game in the postseason. Okay, and this is actually Brian Cashman's last year on the contract. So he really has to go ahead and hit on the free agent market. And there's a lot of individuals who feel, not only fans, but also people in the industry who feel that the New York Yankees are either going to go ahead and snatch up Carlos Correa or Corey Seager. Now, that was another question I went ahead and posted on Instagram was, who do you feel would be the better fit, or who do you feel that the Yankees will actually get at shortstop? Would it be Correa or Seager? And Brian Cashman already said that shortstop is a place that they need to go ahead and upgrade because now they finally realize that Gleyber Torres is better suited at second. Okay, what I never understood about that was how Torres, he was being brought up in the Cubs system and the Yankee system as a shortstop, and he always said that's his natural position. He felt comfortable, but he was trash. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was trash in the field, and what happened was, since he was trash on the field, he took that at the plate, and he struggled at the plate. Now, you notice when he was moved back over to second, where he looked so much more natural and comfortable, his batting took off because he was making the routine plays. He was also making tremendous plays to his glove side. He had that confidence coming back up from the defensive side, which led to the confidence back at the plate. And he was starting to become the player and the hitter that we know Gleyber Torres can be. So Brian Cashman even admitted to that, stating that, you know what, Gleyber Torres is better suited at second. Duh! I mean, sometimes it's just certain experiments that, you should try, and there's others that you just shouldn't. Okay, I know there was another report out there stating to move Gio Urshela to shortstop, and even he said that he would go ahead and like to try to experiment over there, try to get his feet wet or, try to join the competition, whatever you want to go ahead and say. But it's one of those things that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Oh, okay, or don't try to fix it. Leave Gio Urshela at third base where not only is he a gold glove caliber third baseman, he's a platinum caliber glove third baseman, and he can also hit. So don't go ahead and try to move him over to shortstop, okay, when you already have him at third base, and you have third base already locked. Go ahead after somebody like a Correa or a Seager. So when I went ahead and posted that question, there was actually a lot of individuals who voted for Carlos Correa, okay? And even on Twitter, you had a lot of Yankee fans going out there saying, oh, we don't want him. He's a cheat. He's a cheater, blah, 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 all this, that, and the third. And it's just like, yo, I'm going to stop you right there, okay? Do you know how dumb you really sound by stating all that? He is a tremendous player, and he will obviously be a major upgrade for the New York Yankees, okay? His defense, all right, is top notch, okay? One of like the top 3 shortstops in the game. He is a clutch hitter, especially in the postseason. He has proven that 5 years in a row by helping these Astros reach 5 straight American League Championship Series and 3 World Series, okay? And if he comes to New York and wins a championship, just like with Aaron Boone, everything will be forgiven. Okay, so I don't really want to hear that argument about the whole cheating, and that's why you don't want him over there. Now, if he wasn't that good of a player, that's a different story, and then you actually have a leg to stand on when it comes to an argument. But to have an argument stating that, I don't want him there because he's a cheater, be like, yo, we had A-Rod. You know what I mean? Okay, so we can't really go ahead and say any of that crap. Okay, that's just me. That's my personal opinion. You could go ahead and try to, argue with me on that, but to me there is no argument. Don't give me that because he's a cheater. He is a tremendous player, and he will definitely be a major upgrade over anybody else that we have in the minor league system or currently right now to play shortstop. For me, to me, as much as it's a good idea to have Carlos Correa, I would go after Corey Seager only because Corey Seager is a left-hander. Now, yes, he is 2 years older than Carlos Correa, but Corey Seager is just as good, okay, of a defensive player. Now, the hitting he's maybe just a tad below Carlos Correa when it comes to the hitting, but he's also played in a big market for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So to me, that big market of New York really won't face him at all. I'm not saying that will phase Carlos Correa because I don't think it will phase Carlos Correa either. Just, Corey Seager wouldn't phase Corey Seager because obviously he's played for the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is the equivalent of the New York Yankees in the National League. Okay? So for me, I just think that Corey Seager is better suited because he's left-handed and the Yankees are too right-handed dominant. They really are. And I think they need to have more of a balance. And that's really why I think also helped those championship teams back in the late 90s was having that type of balance with righty switch hitters and left-handers. For the past few years, the New York Yankees have just been too right-handed dominant. And I think that gives an easier matchup for the opposing manager when it comes to how to set up their pitching staff and their bullpen, especially in series, where it's postseason, not even regular season, just postseason against that Yankee lineup. That's why, to me, I think it's also imperative that they go ahead and re-sign Anthony Rizzo, okay, to play first base, because I stated in previous videos, there's just something about, maybe there's just the old school in me when it comes to the New York Yankees. There's something about left-handed first baseman of Yankee history playing at Yankee Stadium that I just like. That's me. Not only that, he is a gold glove, platinum glove caliber first baseman. And the entire infield to me will be more at ease knowing that they have that type of first baseman on the other side of the diamond, especially if they have errant throws or throws on the ground. He knows how to pick it. So I think it will actually have a sense of calm and ease on the entire infield. And to me, I think another reason why it's important to go ahead and sign Anthony Rizzo is to keep him away from the Boston Red Sox. Because to me, the other team that's really in on Anthony Rizzo would be the Boston Red Sox. And trust me, the way Anthony Rizzo hits, his batting stance and the way he hits is actually suited for Fenway Park. Just like the Yankee Stadium, you have the short porch in right field. They also have that pesky pole, okay, which is beneficial for Anthony Rizzo. And not only that, he could always just take it the other way off that green monster. So to me, I think it's also important for the Yankees to keep Anthony Rizzo away from the Boston Red Sox. And also, if they re-sign Anthony Rizzo, that's a left-handed hitter that's coming back into that Yankee lineup. I just think they need more of a balance when it comes to that. Alrighty, so I want to also see what type of coaches now are going to be hired to go ahead and surround Boone as well. And we're going to go ahead and see this year coming, 2022, if Aaron Boone really has learned from his first 3 years in the Bronx, because there are a lot of individuals who feel that this team has gone backwards. And they kind of have an argument when it comes to that. It does feel like the team has gone a bit backwards for sure under Aaron Boone. Now he has the total confidence of all the players in that clubhouse. Maybe that's also one of the reasons they decide to go ahead and bring him back. But we're going to go ahead and see what the Yankees are actually going to do in the offseason when it comes to players. I expect them to go big. I expect Hal Steinbrenner to finally put on his big boy George pants on and kind of be like his father a bit, and I won't say splurge, but definitely drop some money on free agents to bring them into the Bronx and finally get a championship for the New York Yankees. So I'm excited to go ahead and see what their offseason plans are when it comes to players. But I'm also interested to see what type of coaches they're going to go ahead and surround Boone with. You know, I want to see who they're going to pick to be his yin or his yang, whichever way you want to go ahead and see it. What do you think, Aaron Boone's yin or yang? Well, one or the other. So it's going to be an interesting offseason when it comes to the plans of the New York Yankees. But before we get there, we have to get through this World Series. Okay, starts Tuesday. Houston Astros versus the Atlanta Braves. It should be a fun one. I hope it goes 7 games for sure. And yeah, let's go ahead and see what happens and who's going to be this year's 2021 champions. Alrighty, people. So y'all already know this here has been a lost Roman Traveler coming at you with Diamond Sunday. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. And trust, you can always catch me every Sunday speaking specifically about baseball, okay? When it comes to this show, like I said, Diamond Sundays. Alrighty, y'all, this has been a Lost Roman Traveler. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Sundays. Peace and love. And let's hope for an awesome World Series. Later.